Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my Mass Effect 3 Insanity difficulty demo walkthrough. This is the second section to it, and this is the second situation. And what's going to happen here, people, is immediately as this kicks off, we're going to be defending the Krogan, and we're going to have to take out these guys in this dropship in front of us. So use your adrenaline, scope down with your new assault rifle, and get to grips with the controls, because this rifle sounds really nice, and it's pretty powerful, but it's single fire. So you have to press the trigger for each shot you make, and unfortunately you're going to find yourself running out of ammo frequently throughout this demo if you play on this difficulty. You'll notice the first thing I've done here is I've switched to my pistol, I've put incendiary rounds on it, and I've started to shoot dudes from a distance. The best technique and the best strategy for any of these Mass Effect games is to keep your distance, abuse your powers, and use cover well. If you can abide by those simple rules, you shouldn't have too much trouble. But like everything else, sometimes you push forward, sometimes you get careless, sometimes you have to put yourself in a risky situation just to get forward. And I move over to this bit here, so I'm a little bit closer to the action, but I can still use the cover. And I'm just going to spam the abilities of Garrus and Liara. And Liara, I think she starts with Singularity, but if you don't even have to upgrade it to make it useful. It's going to be super useful on this, because there's a couple of shield guys coming up later on, and you can use that ability to make them drop the shields and do the little floating act, and it's so useful. Her abilities, the biotics on these games, if you spec them right, can be so powerful. It's ridiculous. But as you come up here, you're going to be reintroduced with a character from an old game. And then you're going to be introduced to the concept of the enemy dropping sentry turrets. And I can't remember the engineers doing this in Mass Effect 2, but these turrets are a pain in the ass. And if you do not have the disruptor rounds on your guns, the ability to do that, or the overload ability for Garrus, taking these turrets down can take a while. And on this section here, the game actually tells you to flank the enemies, but I found flanking does work if you're good and you're aggressive enough, but you can get caught. So I like to stay back here for the first part of this section and then move up. A word to the wise though. What happens actually on this recording run is, because I don't push forward and get rid of the last guy, he actually spawns another turret, so I end up killing one more turret than I needed to. And it's not that challenging, but if you can save, you know, it's a lot of hassle getting your ass kicked by the turrets, and they do a lot of damage if you let them shoot you. And as I mentioned in the previous video, the cover I'm in right now is not good cover, because apparently they can still hit me. And you'll notice my shoulder is kind of hanging out, but when you're in cover on most games you don't take any damage, but on this game I've taken damage, so just be careful. I'm not too sure how it works, and I'm not exactly, you know, completely masterful when it comes to knowing the game, because the demo's been out a few hours. But there's a boss coming up that I'm going to be putting on the third video, and he's actually very hard on Insanity. I died a couple times because I could not figure out how to kill him, because it takes a fucking pounding. And I don't know if he has a weakness, I don't know if there's a specific class or a specific ability that's really good at killing him, but I don't know it right now, and I'm hoping when I get the game and before I make my guide, I'm hoping I figure them out and I make them cake. But this guy, he takes about 10 minutes to kill, and that's pretty much constant shooting. So you can imagine I go through every weapon and I have a pretty hard time. So I'm hoping there's something I've missed, I'm hoping there's some technique, but that's the best thing about new games, isn't it? When we get them, we figure them out, we find out what works for us, and then we apply it and make it work. But I think this is the last guy. This is the machine pistol called the Tempest, and it's a pretty good gun. It's just got way too much recoil, and I never used it on Mass Effect 2 because I never spec'd that way. So what's the point in using a sub when you've got an assault rifle that never runs out of ammo? That was kind of my mentality. But that's a grenade. You'll notice the grenades are a preset animation and you are not invulnerable when you do them, so I just got completely beat up in the process of throwing a grenade. I don't think you can blind fire them, but like I say, I don't know enough about the game yet, folks, so hopefully that's the type of information I will learn before the end. But as soon as you've done that, you can then progress onwards, and we'll be going to the next encounter, because this section of the demo is literally room to room to room to room of bad guys, and they get increasingly more difficult. There's a couple of ones I'm going to cheese because I found good spots, but if you're playing as a Vanguard or if you're playing as a Sentinel or something like that, you might have to approach this differently to me, because I'm a soldier and I use guns. It's kind of my thing. And right there, I use the Medigel to heal myself before picking up some more, because I do believe that the limit is 3. Don't quote me on that, because it's something I've not tested. And before you move on to the next environment, always try and look around to try and get as much ammo as you can, because it's very scarce. And if anybody wonders why I just did the concussive shot then, sometimes when you hold my left bumper, apparently it might not register completely, because holding the left bumper brings up the weapon wheel, but if you press it, it's a shortcut for the concussion shot, and you'll notice that's exactly what I just did. Also, there's a couple of sequences later on where I'm in cover and I'm pressing the trigger and holding the L trigger to come out of cover and shoot, and for some reason Shepard won't do it, and he bounces into cover, bounces back out, and then starts shooting. So if you ever see me go in and out of cover like an idiot twice before I shoot at somebody, that is something to do with the game. That is not me. I was pressing the right stuff, it just felt janky. And this room here can be really difficult. You're going to get assailed by guys from in front. There's a couple of shield dudes and there's a bunch of guys on that balcony, and your team will die pretty quickly unless you've got them, you know, in a situation where they're using their abilities and they're not getting too rushed. And you want to try and keep your team alive for as long as you can, because if you don't, everyone's going to focus on you, and it can get quite difficult. But to my knowledge, on both playthroughs, I've used this doorway as cheesy cover, and no one has ever come through the doorway to get me, not even the shield guys, and I've had them stacking up outside the door. So just use your grenades to bounce behind them if you spec that way, or use the singularity on them to knock them on their ass. I'm not actually using the abilities really well on this part, 'cause I'm just trying to stop them from coming near me, because I'm still in a nervous mentality as to whether or not they'll come. And right there, look at that. There's smoke on this game, and it's really annoying. I don't know who does it, I don't know what does it, but it stops you from being able to see or gain any targets in reticles. And you can be waiting a good 10-15 seconds for it to subside, and in that time your team can be getting gangbanged, because you'll notice that Liara's just died, and I'm quite lucky here because there's only this dude left, so I'm just going to pop his face and finish him off. And if you don't know, but when an encounter ends, if anybody is dead, it automatically revives them for you and saves your Medigel. So if you're comfortable that you can kill the last bunch of enemies, do not waste Medigel on reviving your dudes. They will automatically get picked up, and it's just a nice little technique to saving your supplies. But there is a couple of things to pick up here, and you'll notice there, that is something to do with armour, and there's also a scope to do with the pistol, and this makes me very hopeful that they're bringing back some of the customization from the first game, because one of the things that I really didn't like about Mass Effect 2 was how they oversimplified the armour and the weapons, and you pretty much didn't get any through the game. You got maybe 3 or 4 different weapons, and it was really upsetting, because I like to have 5 different assault rifles, let alone, you know, just 5 guns in the entire game. It was very limited, and same with the armour. I liked the loot system on Mass Effect 1, don't get me wrong, the menus were atrocious, it was really cumbersome and it was hard to manage it, but I just like picking shit up. I like having the option of 50 different suits that all look different and have different attributes. And I really liked the different ammo that you could put in the guns on the first Mass Effect. And the second one obviously went a different way, so I'm hoping the third one moves back that direction. And this sequence here, these people are going to be attacking the pod that's got the female Krogan in it, and you'll notice that there's a pod integrity bar up on the top. There's a grenade, you've got to move or you'll die. And they will damage it and it will go down, and I'm not too sure how this works, because on my first playthrough, which was Insanity, before I recorded, I managed to do this entire demo with a sliver of life left on the pod. On this recording run, when I get to the final section, I'm pretty much sure the pod's going to die, so what I do is I just sit back and wait for the game over screen so I can reload and do it better, and it never dies. They just continue to shoot at it. So I don't know if this is because it's a demo and because they've changed the scripting, or if it's one of those things where they try and make it a bit more intense than it is by, you know, giving you a health bar that doesn't actually make a difference. I don't know, but in this experience that you're going to watch me play through, the pod has no life and it doesn't die. I don't know why. I must have got lucky. You'll have to leave a comment if you failed this section because of its life. I just don't know. But on this sequence here, you just have to run over here, press the power relay, and then we'll be moving through to the next set of bad dudes. And there's a pretty funny section coming up, because the very last firefight before the boss, when you kill all the enemies, you have to run and press a button so that the pod will power up and move on to the next section. And if you don't do it quick enough, the enemies will actually spawn and attack you. And they even tell you to be quick, but in most games, when they tell you, you know, you've got to be fast, come do this, You can run around the environment picking shit up, looking for collectibles and take your time, because it's all very scripted. In this game, if you do that, you'll have to fight more enemies, and that happened to me, and you want to avoid it, because ammo is a pain in the arse, and you'll notice I'm swapping to my pistol again just to try and conserve some. But these are the shield guys. I try firing some abilities at them. I do I've got the mines for Garrus, and I'm not too sure if they're any good, because I've never used them. But right there, I used the singularity, and you'll notice it made the shield guy fly. You want to use that as much as you can. I'm already out of ammo with the pistol again, not even noticed. I'm probably going to have to put my bloody shotgun on soon. Speaking of the shotgun, actually, that's a pretty good segue. I don't remember the shotguns being all that good on the second Mass Effect, because I didn't use them, because when you got close, you generally died. On Mass Effect 1, I used them all the time, because you could knock people on their ass and then just punch them. And on this game, the shotgun is really powerful. I'm going to be using it against the boss of the demo, and it really rips him a new one. And he's got a lot of life, so it's earned a lot of respect from me during this playthrough. And I'm probably going to be testing it out in the main game to see if I can make it useful, because there's one gun from the demo that's missing that I use the most on Mass Effect, and that's the sniper rifle. Because I am the guy that sits back in the distance and shoots people with the scope and nails them in headshots and stuff. And I couldn't play like that on this game because you don't have a sniper at the start, and I don't know if it's because they've changed the class of soldier so that he doesn't have a sniper rifle and you've got to be something else, but I hope they haven't, because it's my favourite weapon in the series. And do not do that. I got cocky because I knew there was one guy left and I used the adrenaline, but those melee attacks, you do them by holding B if you're wondering why you're doing a pathetic punch instead of stabbing somebody with a holographic sword. They're very powerful, but they're a set animation and you are vulnerable during them, so you do not want to get too cocky with melee, especially on Insanity. Insanity will just get you killed. I can attest to that, because death comes very quickly on this game. But I do think it's going to benefit me, because the Darkness 2, I've got that guide up as quick as I possibly could. It's doing okay, I suppose, but the game's not very hard, so nobody needs it, and the only people that are watching it are the people that like my content. And while those guys are awesome, unfortunately, it's the hard videos that get the views, and Mass Effect 3 is probably going to be a really difficult game, so I can't wait to get it up on my channel and see how well it does. But after the little cutscene there, if you want to know how to skip the cutscenes like I've been doing, if you press X, it'll completely skip it. I wouldn't recommend doing it though if you've never seen them, because the story on these games is terrific, and it's gonna get you really in the mood for this game to come out. And we just have, you know, just under a month left before it does, so I'm really stoked. Anyhow, watch out for grenades, finish off this last group of enemies, and we're going to be pushing towards a ladder and moving into the last area of the demo where the boss is. And stuff like that, stuff like warp, singularity, stasis, it's so powerful, especially if you're a soldier, because you can get your teammates to chuck them in the air and you can just punish them with your guns. It's a really fun time, man. I forget how much fun I have with Mass Effects, and I miss these games. And God, I'm excited now. I wasn't even thinking about Mass Effect 3, but I played this and it so put me in the mood. Because to me, it doesn't feel 2 minutes since Mass Effect 2 was you know, the in-game, and I was playing the hell out of it, but it's been like a year. It's been more. I'm not even too sure how long it's been, but it's been long enough for the next game, and yeah, God, I can't wait now. I really can't. But if anybody else has got some interesting demo stories that they've had, feel free to drop some comments, because best thing about these games is everybody's going to do something differently, and every single walkthrough should be pretty different, so hopefully there's going to be a lot of content on YouTube for people to watch if you're into Mass Effect. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the final section, and you take care now.